Hello and welcome to Sunday. It's January 30th. How is your January yoga challenge going? And keep in mind, we make the rules for our life, right? So if you didn't intend to do it every single day, you didn't fail if you didn't do it every single day. Friendly reminder that February signups are live and it is a different route than I've used in the past. So send me a message if you have any questions or troubles. It'll allow the opportunity for automatic recurring monthly payments or billing, and you can cancel that at any time. I also dropped the price a little bit. It's $55 a month, and I increased the offering. You still get Monday through Friday, 30-minute practices, plus the 15 minutes of meditation on Wednesdays. And the first weekend of every month, I'll offer a live 75-minute class that you can rewatch on the other weekends. Okay, and one more quick reminder that this evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, our friend Libby is offering a restorative yoga class. It's totally okay if you don't have all of the bolsters and props. You can just use pillows and lots of folded blankets. So I really encourage us all to take advantage of that complimentary offering. Okay, with that said, let's find a comfortable, easy seat. Our quote today comes from Osho. I do take pause with some of these folks whose quotes I'm sharing, but I really like Rajneesh's teachings. So, sadness comes, joy comes, and everything passes by. What remains always is the witness. The witness is beyond all polarities. So as we practice mindful movement, we're constantly returning to that position of the witness. So as you sit tall, you might close your eyes or just soften your gaze looking down your cheeks. And here we become the witness to our experience. Notice if any parts of your body jump to your awareness. Maybe there's tension or tingling, a sense of unevenness. Or maybe you're experiencing openness and ease. And as we notice how we are in this moment, we can do so without judging, knowing that we're not seeking perfection. Notice if that statement feels true or not. Another breath or two like this, noticing that you are seated and that you're breathing. It's perfectly normal if the mind does not want to tend to this mindful awareness. We constantly pull the mind back to the present moment. That is the practice. If you'd like to chant Om, you're welcome to join me, hands in front of your heart, inhaling deeply to create this vibration of sound. Release your hands. You can continue sitting exactly as you are, or for the next moment or two, you might transition. Some of us like to sit on our heels or on a block, Virasana or Vajrasana. So option to change your perch wherever you go. Be sure that you can still sit tall. You might bring one hand to your low belly, one hand to your heart space, and feel your breath moving the body. With every inhale, you might imagine sitting a little taller. And every exhale, the muscles can hang relaxed off of the bones. Every inhale, lengthening the spine, lifting the crown to the sky. Every exhale, the spine stays long while the muscles soften. You'll notice you keep some core engagement to keep that spine long. But can your shoulders be softer? Can your jaw, your thighs, your toes? seeking that balance between effort and ease. Stiram Sukham Asanam. As you breathe, you might deepen your breath here, feeling your belly protrude as you inhale. And draw back towards center as you exhale. And you might let the breath be like a wave, sending the belly out and then rising up through the ribs to the top of the chest, and then going back the way it came. Traditionally, breath work or breath awareness comes after the physical exercises of yoga. I notice sometimes it helps me be more mindful of my breath through the exercise practice. To drop in one more cycle here. You can keep your hands as they are or relax them on your lap. As you inhale, look over your left shoulder. Exhale to center. Inhale, look over your right shoulder. Exhale to center. Move at your own pace. We'll say 3 to 5 more times. If you can, notice how the connective tissue might tug or pull or stretch as you look side to side. You know, for me, I'm feeling it in the space between my spine and shoulder blade on the opposite side of where I'm looking. You might feel it somewhere else. And return to neutral. Inhale for a long spine, lifted crown. Exhale, drop your left ear to the left shoulder. Notice if you clenched your thighs or any other parts, try to soften as we breathe. And when you come to an exhale, roll your head forward so slowly. Bring your right ear to the right shoulder. Be sure that the spine is still lifted. Sometimes we'll slouch as we make that transition. And on an inhale, bring your head back to neutral. Inhaling again, we lift. Exhaling, right ear to right shoulder. Stay for a breath or two. On an exhale, roll your head forwards and left ear to left shoulder. On your inhale, return your head to neutral. Now with your fingertips, lightly tap your forehead and maybe tap down your jaw and back up the center of your face. Tap, tap, tapping. And you might tap right under your eyes, feeling that orbital bone. Maybe tap around the cheeks. Notice too if your breath changes or if you're able to breathe more easily through your nose. Sometimes even non-specific tapping around the sinus cavities can help us breathe through the nose. And now start to take the taps onto the top of your head, and down the back, up around the ears, and eventually start to tap down your neck and across your chest, all the way down your sternum, across your ribs, up to your armpits, and then with one hand, tapping, slapping down the arm and back up, across your chest and switch sides. Tap as far onto your back as you can. You're doing a great job. And then down your front, down your thighs, your legs as best as you can get them, around to your low back and hips, up your back as high as you can go. And then stop and notice. Maybe there's a bit more sense of aliveness, maybe tingling, numbness, energy flow. And then let's make our way into tabletop. I always encourage blocks handy at the top of the mat's nice. And as you arrive, knees under hips, hands under shoulders, spread your fingers nice and wide, grip with your fingertips, root into the inner line of your hands, the index finger and thumb. On an inhale, drop your belly. Cow pose. On an exhale, lift your spine, cat pose. Move at your own pace and feel free to move in any way that feels good to you. So maybe on your exhale, stretching your spine, sending your hips back. Maybe you like to look over one shoulder, taking a little lateral spinal movement. Anything that feels good to you here. Put a little space between the teeth if it's not there already. So we can practice with space between our teeth and the lips still closed. That helps me remember to primarily breathe through my nostrils. And return to a neutral spine. Tuck your right toes and send your right leg long, keeping the toes on the ground to start. Press back through your right heel. Imagine dragging your left knee towards your hands. Feel your core engage. Keep that engagement. You can keep your right toes on the ground or lift the heel towards the sky. Keep pressing back through the sole of your foot. Some folks do like to point their toes, so you do what you like. You can stay just like this or reach your left arm long. Be mindful of your right hand and wrist. If this feels like too much on the wrist, you can come to soft knuckles. You could even wedge the blanket under the heel of your hand. You're welcome to find steadiness here, tiger pose. Or if you'd like, inhale and exhale, round your spine, drawing elbow and knee to center. Inhale and exhale. Release hand and knee to the ground. Flip your right palm to the sky. Make a little fist. Maybe you draw some little circles with the upper body. And you can shake out the right wrist. Return to your solid foundation. Tuck your left toes and send the left leg long. Press back through your left heel. Core engaged. Push the ground away. You can stay like this or lift your left heel. Breathe deeply. Option to reach your right arm to the distance. Option to stay like this, already lots of effort. Or inhale, see if you can get a little longer. Exhale, rounding your spine, hugging it all in. Inhale, extend. Exhale to the midline. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale, hug it in. We'll do one more. Inhale to reach. And exhale, set hand and knee down. Flip your left palm to the sky, open and close the fist. Maybe you bring in a little movement. Plant both hands, tuck your toes. Inhale. Exhale, lift your knees, lift your hips, find your triangle shape. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Give yourself any movement that you'd like here. Let your head hang heavy. Imagine your heart melting back towards your thighs. Shoulders slide up towards your ears, giving you a little more space in your torso. Anchor into your fingertips and the inner lines of your hands. Little bend in your knees will help your spine stay long while you send your hips higher. On an inhale, look forward. Exhale, step your way to the top of the mat. Uttanasana, forward fold. On your next inhale, rise all the way up, reaching up. And exhale your hands to your heart. Take a slightly wider stance, arms by your side, and begin to bounce up and down, little bounces. If this feels steady, you might lift your heels off of the ground, sending a reverberation up the body. And if you really like to shake, then go for it. We've got about 5 full breath cycles here. So maybe you start to shake out your wrists. Maybe you reach your arms up overhead. Maybe you sigh your breath out. One more slow cycle of breath. And come to stillness, noticing what's here. Noticing if the mind is analyzing that experience. Saying, oh, I like that, or oh, that's weird. Just notice, be the witness to those fluctuations of the mind. Feet, hips distance apart. Inhale, reach out and up. On an exhale, slowly hinge forward. Long spine, you can soften the knees as you go. Slowly we land in forward fold. Inhale to lift halfway, long spine. You can lift your toes here also. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up. And exhale, hands to your heart. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale to reach. Exhale to hinge. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale to fold. And rise back up. Exhale, hands at your heart. Pause and notice. Inhale, reach to the sky. Exhale, fold. Hands touch down, maybe grabbing your blocks. Step your right foot way back in space and lower the right knee, untucking the toes. For this first round, let's all keep our hands low and notice if the ego doesn't like that. If it's like, no, I'm ready to back bend, it's okay. Just stay here and breathe. You could imagine squeezing your legs together, adding that little bit of adduction and isometric contraction. We're hugging the bones with the muscles, helps us stabilize. See if you can draw your heart forwards, lengthening your spine. Maybe you look up into the distance. Another breath or two. The focus of a cat preparing to pounce. Gotta speak in languages or in terms that we relate to, right? As you're ready, plant your hands. You can keep your hands on your blocks if you'd like. Tuck your right toes. Step yourself back into plank pose, phalakasana, pushing the ground away. Breathe here. See if you can externally rotate your arms so that the points of the elbows point more back towards your thighs. The eyes of the elbows point towards the space between the finger and thumb. On an exhale, lower your knees, lift your toes, sink your hips, keeping your shoulders away from your ears, draw your heart forward. Hanging cobra for 3 breaths. Notice if all the weight went into the heels of your hands, try to grip to your fingertips. And send your hips back a bit, tabletop, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. If your hands slide on the blocks, you can just set them to the side. 3 to 5 breaths in our triangle shape. Know that you could also come into child's pose here. From downward facing dog, inhale and lift your right leg to the sky, 3-legged dog. Look forwards, and on an exhale, step or swing your right foot to the top of the mat, whatever it takes to get there. And lower your left knee, untucking the toes. Imagine squeezing the legs together. Draw your heart forwards and up, long spine, full breath. Notice where the mind goes. And tuck your left toes, preparing for standing splits. Inhale. And exhale, step into your right leg, lifting the left leg any amount. You can walk your hands forward a foot or so. And slowly we hinge over the right leg. Both legs are just as active and engaged as if you were in plank pose or mountain pose. See if you can let your head and neck hang a little heavier. You might let your drishti be your knee or an inch or two below the knee. Or maybe you're looking on the ground. One more breath. And as you're ready, rest the left foot next to the right, forward fold. On an inhale, reverse swan dive, slowly rise up. Exhale your hands to your heart. Inhale to reach. Exhale, fold forward. Hands touch down, left foot steps way back in space. Option to lower the knee, or maybe this round you keep the left leg long. Still keeping the hands on the ground, see if you can lengthen the spine here. So from the crown of your head to the heel of your left foot, one long line of energy. One more breath, noticing the front of your left hip. Plant your hands and step yourself into plank pose. You can always lower your knees. 3 breaths here. Push the ground away. Imagine you're squeezing a block between your thighs, but don't let the hips lift too high. And when you come to your third exhale or so, drop your knees, find our hanging cobra, drawing the heart forwards and up, maybe lifting your gaze, opening your throat. And send your hips back, find tabletop, toes tucked, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. You could also find child's pose, 3 to 5 breaths. On an inhale, lift your left leg to the sky, 3-legged dog. Look forwards. Exhale, step or swing the left foot to the left thumb, finding our high runner's lunge here. Still imagining we're squeezing the legs together. You might notice how the hips shift when you do that. Lots of energy into your back leg. Long spine. Breathe and look forward. Taking time to open up our hip flexors before potentially a week of sitting at the desk. Preparing for standing splits. Inhale, looking forwards. Exhale, lift your right heel to the sky. Breathe deeply. Slowly let yourself hinge deeper into this forward fold with the right heel lifting up. One more breath. And as you exhale, set your right foot down, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, reaching to the sky. And exhale your hands to your heart. Inhaling, we reach. Maybe we lift our heels off of the ground, balancing on our toes. Exhale, heels down, hinge forward. Hands touch down, step your right foot back. This time you can do what we've been doing or rise up, Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge. Bending into your front knee. You might need to put a bend in your back knee to help your shoulders stay over your hips. Noticing if you straighten your leg, if the body hinges forward, that's okay. We're just opening up the body. Breathing deeply here. Option to hold your right arm, pulling it up and over to the left. Maybe drawing circles with your right wrist. And drawing them the other direction if you did that. Return to neutral, reaching. Exhale, bring your hands down to the earth, stepping yourself into plank pose. Inhaling in plank and exhaling in plank. One more inhale. Exhale, drop your knees, lower your chest and your chin. So like a little inchworm or zigzag. Stay for another breath. Core engaged. On your next inhale, crawl yourself forward, point your toes back, finding baby cobra, Bhujangasana. Hands can float off of the mat, shoulder blades slide together and down. Another breath like this. Exhale, lower your head, lower your hands, arms hug your ribs, tuck your toes, big breath in. Engage your legs, big breath out. Push the ground away. Through push up, bend your knees, send your hips high, downward facing dog. If you like to take three-legged dog, you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we'll just inhale looking forward. Exhale, we all step our right foot to the top of the mat. Steady yourself and option to rise up. Anjaneyasana. Breathing deeply here. Lots of energy into your back leg. That might still mean that there's a little bend in the knee. That's fine. Imagine bringing your outer left hip forward, outer right hip back as you bend into your right leg. Shoulders over hips. We reach to the sky. Since our arms are up, that means our shoulders are in flexion, which means that the shoulders can rise up by the ears. If you'd like, you can hold on to the left arm, pulling it up and over to the right. Maybe you draw some circles with the left wrist, another cycle or two of breath. And then return to neutral reaching. Exhale your hands down. Inhale, looking forward. Exhale, giant step to the top of the mat, forward fold. Bend your knees generously, sink your hips low. On an inhale, reach your arms forwards and up, finding Utkatasana, awkward chair pose for 3, 2, one more breath. And stand up tall. Inhale, reach up. Maybe your heels come off of the ground. Exhale, fold forward. Plant your hands, step your left foot back, again staying high on the toes if you can. Inhale, rise up, Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge. Option here to take a twist to your right and open your arms out wide. Noticing we might be keeping our arms centered over the mat, which is fine, but maybe you let that left arm come out a little wider out to the left, so it's actually coming right out of your shoulder socket. Notice if you feel more sensation in your arms there. You can draw circles with your wrists if that feels good, encouraging our synovial joint fluid to keep our wrist joints lubricated. Maybe you look over your right shoulder, little extra balance challenge. With an inhale, we'll all face forward. Exhale your hands to the earth, step yourself into downward facing dog. If you'd like to take a flow or find child's pose, you're welcome to do that. If you're interested in the Chaturanga Dandasana flow, just as a reminder, we come forward into plank, staying for a breath. Inhale forward on your tippy toes. Exhale, lower halfway and hover. Untuck your toes. Inhale, drawing your heart forwards and up. Exhaling, downward facing dog. If you like three-legged dog, you can go ahead and lift your left leg. Inhaling, we'll look forward. Exhaling, stepping or swinging the left foot to the left thumb. On an inhale, rise up. You're welcome to stay just like this. Or maybe you take a twist to your left, opening your arms out wide. Again, noticing if we kind of automatically keep our arms centered on the mat, you might get more out of it by letting that right arm float back in space so it's really coming out of the shoulder socket. And maybe you draw circles with your wrists. Breathe wherever you are. You might look over your left shoulder. Couple more breaths. Noticing whatever's here in this moment. With an inhale, we'll all face forward. Exhale your hands to the earth or blocks and step your right foot to meet the left. Send your hips low. On an inhale, reach your arms up. Utkatasana. Engage your gluteal muscles and your abdominal muscles. Lift your toes if you can. Trying to keep the knees behind the toes. Lifting your heart. Again, a little zigzag. 3, 2, 1. Standing up tall. I think that 3, 2, 1 went faster than the first one. Pause here and notice. You might place your hands over your heart, feeling if we've had an effect on the rhythm of our heart or our breath cycle. You can also interlace your hands here. I've really been enjoying that Vajra Pradama mudra, this mudra of self-trust and confidence. Noticing what's here now. Inviting the mind of a curious, neutral onlooker. Release your arms down by your sides. And on an inhale, reach up to the sky. Exhale, fold forward. Hands touch down. Step your left foot back and out, setting up for warrior 2. So heel to arch alignment. On an inhale, cartwheel your arms up. Settle in Virabhadrasana 2. You can see the right big toe on the inside of the right knee. Feel the arms open wide, gazing over your right fingertips. The left shoulder is still open. Putting a little space between your back teeth. Stay for 3 more breaths. Maybe you sink a little lower into your right thigh. Maybe you do the opposite. Do whatever you need. Inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your arms down. Step yourself into plank. Big breath here. Exhale, let's all drop our knees and send our hips back, finding child's pose. You can rest your arms by your sides or maybe bend your elbows, taking a prayer mudra, resting your hands above your head. If you do that, you can walk your elbows forward a little bit, getting a nice stretch through the triceps. No worries if your hips don't meet your heels or if your head does not reach the mat. Work with what you've got here. Another breath or 2. Plant your hands. Inhale through tabletop, tuck your toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. Look forwards. Big breath in. Exhale, step or skip your way to the top of the mat. Hang heavy. And with your inhale, rise up. Exhale your hands to your heart. Inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, fold forward, hands touch down, right foot steps back and heel pivots down. Inhale, rise up, warrior two. Virabhadrasana 2 on the other side. We can see the left big toe on the inside of the left knee. Feel the pinky side edge of your right foot on the mat. Looking down, we can see our shoulders are over our hips. There's a tendency to pull forward, leaning over the bent legs. So for this pose, shoulders over hips, arms open wide. You might even wiggle your fingers to bring some sensation into the arms. 3 more breaths. See if you can keep your focus on your breath. Every inhale, the crown lifts. Every exhale, the tailbone sinks. Big breath in. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Step yourself back into plank pose. Inhale here. Exhale, drop your knees, send your hips back, child's pose. Option to rest in child's pose any way you like. You can take the mudra that we just offered in the last round, or option to take a little twist here, in which case we'll draw our heart forwards a bit, more like Anahatasana, heart melting pose, and thread the right arm under the left, resting on the right shoulder. And you can be passive here or press the hands together. If you took any twist offerings on one side, unweave and take it to the other side, left shoulder towards the center of the mat, resting and breathing here, or bringing your hands together, pressing them into each other, making a deeper twist or a more engaged twist. Unwinding from anywhere you've gone, tuck your toes and we'll all meet in downward facing dog. On an inhale, look forward, and exhale, make your way to forward fold. With your next breath in, rise up with a long spine. And exhale your hands to your heart. If your strap is handy, let's go ahead and grab that. I guess I should say, if you enjoy using the strap in tree pose. I've been liking it lately. I think for some reason it just makes me feel more engaged. I'm sure there's a reason. So holding the strap in front of you, try to pull it apart so there's some firmness and intention here in the upper body. Core engaged. As we pull the strap, we might be able to lower our spine a little bit, lifting our crown. Shift the weight into your left leg, floating your right foot off of the ground any amount. So you might stay here just exploring this balance. You could even go ahead and lift your arms up if you like, pulling the strap apart. Option to lift and bend your right knee and then open it out to the right, finding your way into tree pose, Vrikshasana. Lengthen your low back, lifting your heart, lifting your arms. It might even feel like your shoulders are shrugging up, and keep your neck relaxed. Press the right foot into the left leg, press the left leg back into the right, The right foot is anywhere except for on the knee joint. And for the next breath or two, if you're feeling steady, maybe you start to pull your arms behind you, lifting your heart to the sky, finding a little back bend. Breathing, we'll return to neutral. Rest your arms and both feet on the ground, arms down. After a moment of recovery, engage your arms again, pulling the strap apart. Start shifting the weight into your right leg, right gluteal muscles engage. Left foot hovers off of the ground. Maybe you go ahead and reach your arms up overhead if that's helpful to you. You can stay right here. This is already so much effort. Depending on how it's going, maybe you bend your left knee, open the left leg out wide, and let the left foot find the right leg anywhere except for on the knee. As you get where you're going, imagine lengthening your low back, pressing your hips forward. Pulling the strap apart can help us find more muscular engagement. Breathe deeply. Depending on how your Vrikshasana is going on this side, maybe you start to press your hips forward, lifting your heart, finding a little back bend. Notice if you hold your breath, keep breathing deeply. One more breath. And slowly return to stand in Tadasana Mountain Pose, loosely holding the strap. After a breath or two of recovery, engage your arms again. If you like, some of us find it more helpful to have the arms up, some not. So you might reach your arms up overhead. Again, carrying the weight into the left leg, left gluteal muscles super engaged, right foot hovering off of the ground. You can stay right here, or maybe you draw the right knee up towards your nose any amount. Breathe deeply. As you exhale, perhaps you start to hinge forward, kicking your right leg slowly back in space, tipping your torso towards parallel to the ground. I encourage you to keep a playful attitude here. It's no competition and it doesn't have to be perfect. Breathe deeply, exploring Virabhadrasana 3. However it's going, on an inhale, rise back up and find Tadasana, resting your arms for a moment. Notice how the body feels, how the breath and heart might have changed. As you're ready, engage your arms. Perhaps reach them up overhead. Engage your right gluteal muscles as you send the weight into the right leg, left foot floating off of the ground. I can't say it enough. This is enough. You can stay right here. Lengthen your spine. Breathe deeply. Perhaps you bend your left knee, drawing the thigh towards parallel. It does not have to make it all the way. Another breath here. And as you're ready, if you'd like, explore tipping forward, lowering your torso towards parallel to the earth, sending your left leg long. Pulling that strap apart might help you find more stability. Another couple of breaths, working with whatever's here. And as you're ready, slowly return to mountain pose and release your arms by your sides. We can set the strap down, noticing what's here. This feels like a time where shaking might feel really good again, so maybe you take a little shake out. And then returning to stillness. Checking in any parts of the body that might have flared up, or maybe feeling alive or not so great or really awesome, just noticing. For the sake of flow, we'll inhale to reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward, and then sink your hips really low. Our graceful way to take a seat. Keeping the strap handy, send both legs long in front of you. Toes towards the sky and back towards your face. If your knees want to pop up, let them. You might even put a blanket under them. Nice, let your body know, hey, I've got your back. So don't force your legs straight. Sit really tall and begin to fold forward any amount. Maybe you loop your strap under the bottoms of your feet. Maybe you bring blocks for your arms to rest on or for your head. Prop yourself however you'd like. And then we'll take about 5 slow, full breaths. Now, if your hamstrings are really tight and your knees are really bent, or if you just want to give yourself a hug, you can wrap your arms under your thighs any amount that you can. Drape your belly over your torso and give yourself a hug. Your legs might slowly lengthen a little. Whatever's here is fine. A couple more full breaths. Slowly sit up tall. If you happened to put blocks or a blanket under your legs, we'll push that to the side. Bend your right knee, pressing the right foot into the left thigh, very much like tree pose. You can loop the strap over under the left foot if you like. Sit really tall and begin to fold forward. If you're not using the strap, sometimes it feels nice to reach up and then fold forward. Janu Shirshasana. Notice if you're forcing the left leg straight, you can let a little bend come into it. Go easy on your hamstrings. And in case we've rounded our spine, sometimes that can feel good. We can get some interesting stretches and sensations through the neck and back. But for the next inhale, let's all lift our spine, lengthening the spine. Imagine drawing the heart forwards, noticing how we might back out of the fold, but have a longer spine, staying there for a breath. Good, and then we'll switch sides. Left foot presses into the right thigh as best you can. Maybe you loop the strap, lengthen your spine, and begin to hinge forward. Maybe you like to reach your arms up overhead and fold forward with an exhale. A few breaths to do what feels right. Notice if you're clenching the jaw, maybe you can relax it a little. And noticing if we've rounded our spines, let's all, with intention, lift the heart, lengthen the spine, perhaps backing out of the depth or the perceived depth of the stretch, staying for another breath here. And releasing this shape, sit tall. Option here to scoot onto your blanket or maybe even a block. I don't do that often, so I'll mix it up today. Maybe you'll join me. We can always go back to what we know works for us if the block doesn't feel quite right. And we'll just say whichever leg you've naturally folded in front. Let's pick it up and rock it like a baby. You can walk your bottom leg forward a bit so that the shin is parallel to a long edge of the mat, unless you're sitting at a weird angle on your mat like I am. And you can keep rocking the baby like this, or maybe you're able to put your lifted foot into the opposite elbow crease. Notice if you really round your spine to make this happen, and in which case I would just back up. Always a bit more priority on keeping the spine long than trying to touch the proverbial toes. You know what I mean? You can keep doing what you're doing if this feels good, or stack your lifted ankle on your lowered knee, exploring Agni Stambhasana, fire log pose. So the legs, the shins are stacked on each other. Block is feeling too wonky to me, so I'm going to remove it. I know some people like it. I'm going to put the block instead under my top knee and scoop myself onto a blanket. You can always, always adjust. This is one place in the world where we are totally in control. So doing what feels right to us in the moment, releasing any judgments about how things should be. If this feels good, you can stay just how you are. Maybe you start to fold forward any amount. This is some really deep hip work, so go easy as you breathe. And as always, we can think of lengthening the spine and breathing deeply. Maybe you sway a little bit. A few more breaths here. And sit tall. You can use your hands to help you notice which leg has been on top. And then you can plant both feet. Hands by your hips or behind you. Let your legs fall side to side. Stay casual, little twist and hip stretch. And now cross your legs, opposite leg in front. Sit tall. Pick up that top leg or front leg and cradle the baby. You might walk the bottom leg away from you a little bit. You can stay just how you are, or maybe you put the lifted foot into the crease of your opposite arm elbow. See if you can keep sitting tall. Maybe you can wrap your other arm around. Maybe you even interlace your hands. None of this is necessary. Just keep breathing, working with what's available to you today. If you've been able to put your lifted foot into the opposite elbow, imagine kicking it into that arm. See if you can sit a little taller. A few more breaths wherever you've gone. And as you're ready, stack your top leg ankle on the bottom leg knee. Maybe you bring a block to support under the top knee and sit really tall. Agni Stambhasana, fire log pose. If you'd like, you can begin to fold forward any amount. Noticing if you've clenched the jaw, there does seem to be some sort of connection between the hip and jaw. I suppose it's all connected. But I do notice that when I'm doing deep hip work, I have more tendency to clamp the jaw down. Keep breathing, keeping awareness of your spine, noticing if you're rounding it or lengthening it. Maybe you sway a little bit. A few more breaths. Savor one more full deep breath. Sit up tall. You can use your hands to help you release your legs. This time, let's send our legs long. Hands by your hips. Let your feet flop side to side. And then scoot off of your prop if you were using one. Clear your space so that you can take up some space in Shavasana. Option to put blocks under your legs so that your knees have a little bend. Or option to put blanket under your knees. Or of course, option to use nothing at all. As you're ready, make your way onto your spine. And before we settle in for Shavasana, hug your knees into your chest. Notice how your spine is probably flattened onto the mat a bit. Open your arms out wide in any way that works for you. Big breath in. And as you exhale, let your legs fall off to the left. It's okay if the right shoulder lifts up. You can, if you'd like, press your head into the mat, pick up your left shoulder and drape both shoulders back on the ground. Or you can just let the right shoulder hang. We'll just be here another breath or two. As you're ready, guide your legs back to neutral. Knees in towards the chest. Inhale. And exhale, let your legs fall off to the right side. If the shoulder lifts, you can either let it hang or lift and drape your shoulders back over the earth. Breathe deeply. Another full cycle of breath here. And then return your legs to neutral. And send your legs long, arms long, palms towards the sky. Allow yourself to settle in to Shavasana, corpse pose. You can let your feet flap open, legs relaxed. With every breath, you can feel your body expand and then soften. If you notice your thoughts pulling you away, know that it's completely normal. And notice that you're the witness of this happening. Sadness comes, joy comes, and everything passes by. What remains always is the witness. The witness is beyond all polarities. Feel free to linger in Shavasana as long as you'd like. If you're ready to close practice, then slowly make your way back to an easy seat. As we arrive, we can take a moment to witness how we feel physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. How are you feeling right now? I hope that this practice has served us. If you'd like to chant Om, you can draw your hands together in front of your heart, remembering that this chant represents the experience of existence, the cycle of creation, life, and death or transformation. Inhaling for Om. Thank you for sharing your practice with this community. Thank you to all of the teachers who have passed this gift of yoga down. I hope to see you this evening for our 7 p.m. Eastern restorative practice live on this channel.